Boom, you're looking for this? Coming up, we're going over the end of part 2, Avengers Age of Ultron. This is the Sacred Rewatch. Hello everyone and welcome to the Sacred Rewatch, brought to you by Effortless Expeditions, a Disney-centered travel agency, here to help you plan your next Disney vacation. Contact us today for a free, no-obligation quote. Wherever the destination is, they make the experience truly effortless. I just got back from an effortless expedition myself. The people I was joined with, they're not able to make it today. One's sick. The other one's still traveling back. Wyatt and Austin are not here right now. Wyatt may join us in the middle. If not, I've got some of his thoughts on Age of Ultron, just because this is a big episode. But it's just me and Brody today. But also make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like this content, or give a 5-star rating on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. The YouTube channel is doing phenomenal right now. Me and Brody actually just went on last week. We reviewed Ironheart right when it came out, and it's doing great. We got 1.6 thousand views, and we're going to be, by the time this comes out, we've already reviewed the second drop. So we've seen the finale. So maybe Mephisto did do it all along. If you're watching the Sacred Rewatch, you probably have no clue what I'm talking about, but that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, today I'm joined by our resident philosopher once again. Brody, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, but I feel like I'm not living up to that title. I think I was only a philosopher maybe once or twice on this show.
I don't know. I think you still live up to the standard. I think you do.
Okay.
What did you
All
think
right.
of the? Did you like the boom? You were looking for this?
I did, dude. That joke kills it in this movie, dude. Like I remembered the
I know.
line, and I remembered the first bit where he tells it and it doesn't get a reaction. But I completely forgot about him like saying the joke, and then like you get the shot of him being
Uh,
like, he's like standing there with his drink, and he's like proud of himself that like the joke did well
he's
with the other
soaking it
group.
in.
Yeah, no, that was funny, dude.
Yeah. And I you can't really see it, but I think it is so fitting that I'm wearing my Stark Industries shirt today.
Absolutely. Making these videos has just made me realize how little like t-shirt merch I have or hats merch, or I have it and it's just like from when I was like 12, so it doesn't fit me anymore. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, for the Pixar stuff, like I was like looking at my stuff and I'm like, I don't own anything Pixar. Like
I know.
I don't know. It's just funny.
I've been trying to find I really want to find like a good Fantastic Four hat, but I've
Yeah.
had a really hard time finding one. I feel like they only have kids hat, or they just have like the basic one. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
trying to look like for a cool like Fantastic Four like black hat, and it's just not out there.
Yeah.
But we'll keep looking. Maybe I'll make one. Maybe if you want, I'll make a shop, the Sacred Rewatch shop, and I'll put one on there that I'm looking for.
There you go.
So yes, today is a big day. We have just finished part 2 of the Sacred Rewatch. Can you believe it, Brody? We've made it this
I
far.
didn't even know that. I didn't even know that we finished that part technically.
Yeah, this is technically the end of the part. I always try to find a kind of a climatic moment for a part to finish. This is, the first part ended with the Avengers, which I thought was super fitting. This finishes with
Hmm.
the Age of Ultron, which is kind of odd to me because we talked about Daredevil, we watched Jessica Jones and talked about it. Like it just seems like there's been so much content that hasn't
Yeah.
related to the Avengers in a while.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to dive into it, but let's get into it. I don't have a piece of paper, but I think with just the two of us, it's good. So let's let's start with you. Do you think you gave it a higher score than me, or do you think you gave it a lower score?
If I had to guess, I'm probably a little higher.
Okay. All right. Well, you tell us the score, and then I'll tell you mine, and then I'll start with some of my thoughts. But you tell us your score first, and then I want one word description of the movie.
Ooh. Scoring it out, I ended up giving it a 22.
Okay.
And one word, I'd have to put somber. I feel like somber is like the tone of a lot of the scenes in the
Mm,
movie. Like while it is funny,
Yeah.
there's in just the mood that they maintain throughout the whole movie.
Well, in one way, Brody, we're on the same level. You said 22. I give it a 21.5. You can't get much closer
Really?
than that. Yeah.
Hey, did I
But
say mine was gonna be higher?
you did. You
I
did.
did. 0.5.
But I don't think I would use the word somber. I think I would go the opposite. I would
Yeah.
say chills.
Yeah.
More than any movie, I've got so many chills watching this movie. It's just
Yeah.
I'm super excited to get into it. So
Okay.
one of the first things that I wrote down is the title card, which is exactly explains the word that I picked. I got so many goosebumps watching that title card
Yeah.
because you're like so curious about the Maximoff twins, and you see Tony come in and grab the scepter. You're like, what is going to happen? You know, it seemed like Hydra's been eliminated at this point, right? This is kind of the last little thread of Hydra, and Tony grabs the scepter, and you're like, what's going to happen? You know?
Yeah.
Some other things I wrote down, and maybe this is an interesting thought I had, but I wrote down the quote, "Peace in our time." Tony has always been obsessed with peace, but at what cost? And this is before really you know what that's going to mean. But you go back to the first Iron Man movie. To him, you know, he had that quote in the first Iron Man movie. It's like, I accomplished world peace, right? And he put up the peace sign.
Yeah.
But he's an arms dealer, right? And then he's saying, oh, it's going to be peace in our time because of the suit of armor around the world, basically, right?
Yeah.
But it's this long, you know, moral conversation of how do we accomplish peace? And this is the last thing I'll say before we get into it, but Ultron, once he gets introduced, he says, you might be getting peace confused with quiet.
Yeah.
I think that's just a very interesting argument that even just takes us to, you know, modern day society today. I mean, that's a constant conversation happening. How do we accomplish peace? You know, some superpowers, even the United States, say, oh, we're going to accomplish world peace with the big stick. But other countries are saying, like Switzerland. Switzerland's always been a very, you know, peaceful country, but they don't have a military presence. So it's just an interesting thing to think about. Even, you know, is this movie 10 years old?
2016 or 2015. Yeah.
Wow. Talk about feeling old.
But it's insane. Like 10 years later, you would think this movie was written like today. Like literally today. It's about artificial intelligence. It is about technology that is controlled by humans being replaced by technology that takes its own, you know what I mean, like mind and decisions on things. And again, it's about the world peace conversation and about how that should be done without having pretty much just guns above everyone's heads. Yeah, this movie literally feels like it's written for now. So I think so far this has aged amazing.
So what did you think of the movie before, like right up to the title card? What did you think?
So I hadn't rewatched this one in a long time. And I think I just remembered it less. Like, I remembered the key points in it, but it's one of those where you rewatch it, and there's so many little shots in between. Or, like, the music during a scene that you don't remember being that way. That, like, completely flips it to, like, what you don't remember it being. Like, the opening with the Mind Stone. Like, I forgot it opens with that. Which is cool, because I think Avengers opened with the Tesseract, didn't it?
But for both of those movies, you don't realize it's an Infinity Stone at the time.
Yeah, but it's just cool that that's like the opening shot in both of them. But yeah, the title card was awesome. It was a little too quick for me. Like, it just like it like just turned and was like Age of Ultron, and then it cut, which is cool, but it could have been like a second longer. But like but overall, like, the music during the opening Marvel title was different, right?
Yeah. I think the music too kind of agree with what you said. It kind of has would you say it has more of a little bit of a somber tone, or it has a little bit more grandeur nature?
There's a little bit more spice in here because we got Danny Elfman joining in on the soundtrack. And there's specific moments, which I'll kind of just point out now because I'll forget about the music later.
Yeah.
But it was like specifically when Vision first gets created.
Yeah.
And he's looking over the city and it's got these really high strings. And I was like, what is this music reminding me of? And it's like totally like the original Spider-Man like music of like the Venom suit and all those like scenes where you don't really know what's going on in the mind of someone. Actually, what it reminded me of is like Doc Ock's theme. Like whenever Doc Ock is kind of being controlled and it's got like the high strings where it's kind of like the arms are talking for him. Yeah. So when he's looking over, you hear those strings and it's like you're trying to think about what Vision's thinking of. It's like classic Danny Elfman.
Well, but if you really like want to think hard about it, that comparison of music from Spider-Man 2 to this, I would say Spider-Man 2 borderline has some artificial intelligence conversations too, because
absolutely
his arms have a mind of its own, right?
And definitely a technology and like what the limit is with the power of the sun in the palm of your hand and all that.
Yeah.
The other music moment, which I will just get out of the way, was towards the end of the movie when they're fighting on Sokovia. And I literally paused and like skipped back to watch this again. So it's when that car falls off the side and the person's in it. Thor comes by, and his theme, if not his theme, something very, very similar to his theme from Thor 2 plays. As he's flying up, the theme, like he turns, he sees the car falling, his theme plays, okay? He goes down, he gets the car, lifts it up, and then it goes back to Cap at the top, and it plays the first Avenger theme for Captain America. And I was losing my mind.
I did catch the first Avengers theme. I didn't really catch the Thor 2 theme though.
Yeah, dude. If you rewatch it and you're just waiting for the key change, it's like right when Thor turns to go down, and it's like dun 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 dun, like the super heavy music. You know what I mean? So like I said, I don't know if that's exactly his theme. I know it sounded super duper similar, and I know that Cap's theme was. It was definitely scored like it was the Thor theme from Thor 2.
Yeah. I love so much when a big team up movie can incorporate personal themes into a movie, even if it's subtly like that.
Absolutely.
Because even self-consciously, like if you were to close your eyes, you know who's on screen, right?
Yeah. But that's something that I thought most of the Avengers movies lacked. So that's why I was kind of really caught off guard by that. Yeah.
And while we're talking about sound and score, because I think it's just such a good transition. It's towards the end of the movie. They've got the first team up since the beginning of the movie, right? And they're all standing around basically the key that's gonna drop this whole city country down. And all of Ultron's bots come attack, and there's no music playing. And
I know, that caught me off guard. I thought it was going to be the slow motion shot first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But instead you're getting all these quick shots in silence. Well, not silence, but just with the sound effects of like each person fighting.
Yeah, and I love it too because the whole movie they play the score in some way or they have some type of other music playing. But you start to hear it and you're like, wait, there's no music playing. You're just hearing, the shield hitting the Ultron bot, or you're hearing the Thor's hammer hitting the Ultron bot. Yeah. And then it kind of, increases into the score. But I thought that was just such a well-designed scene.
Yeah, they do it one more time when Wanda's screaming at the end.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, they're going to be playing like some sad music right here. And then it was just like super quiet. Which was it was cool.
Yeah. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, this is a question I had about the beginning of the movie. So,
okay.
Banner kind of discovers Ultron that Tony's been building, or they kind of talked about it, right?
Yeah.
And they're saying, oh, it's artificial intelligence. Ultron's got almost these brain synapses happening. But my question is, how is Jarvis not AI? They're saying, oh, Jarvis isn't AI, but Ultron is.
They say later when he finds the pieces of Jarvis that it is, I don't know if he says programs, but he says that all the ways that he thinks were still there. So it is through some sort of code that he's told how to think, fundamentally. Because that is what he says. He like finds all those pieces and puts them back together, and he says he doesn't remember who he was before as Jarvis.
Yeah.
But he still thinks in the same way. So I think that is just a fully built out thing that Tony made. Which might have artificial intelligence, but it might not be completely free thinking.
Well, so that's kind of my question to like relating it to today, right? We see artificial intelligence everywhere.
Yeah.
And to me, what we deem AI kind of seems like how Jarvis is. It's not really AI because they're not free thinkers. It's just machine learning over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually have free thoughts. It's just collecting so much data and then it's putting out the answer that you're asking for, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just thought it was an interesting thing to think about, because if you look at them side by side, to me, they are the same thing.
Yeah. It's just like how this story is just so fascinating, though. Like with how it just elevates and escalates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you do realize the danger of possibly, like, it is quite literally giving AI the power of like Iron Man. You know what I mean? Like, and it explains a lot of that logistical human thinking. You know what I mean? That like just an AI program wouldn't be able to think that way. You know what I mean? Unless you told it to. But
and one thing that I want to talk about too is I love the transition from Iron Man 3 to this movie, specifically for not even the introduction, because we kind of already saw it. Iron Man 3, you have all of the Iron Man suits that are working in like Sentry mode.
yeah.
And it's a perfect and seamless transition to the Iron Legion, right?
Yeah.
You watch Iron Man 3, you're like, oh, well, you know why it's that way, because you saw Iron Man 3 and you saw that's how he was able to win against what's his name?
The Mandarin?
No.
Or Killian?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was such a cool transition from that movie into like a direct tie-in, just because we haven't seen that many, direct Avenger character movies since.
Well, the other thing that was cool about when we're watching this is Ironheart. So Ironheart is completely leading off of the AI conversation and the trauma conversation that Tony's having in this movie. So it was really cool to watch this and be like, oh, we're getting like more about this AI stuff in the MCU like right now.
Yeah. What are your thoughts so far at the beginning of the movie or even the middle of the movie of the twins?
Beginning of the movie, I was interested. Like, I feel like all of their moments I like remember from the movie, like just straight up, because obviously we had WandaVision as kind of a refresher for their story. But it threw me off. Like the Wanda accent was really throwing me off. I'm not used to the strong Wanda accent. And I don't know, they're just so fascinating to watch. And I like throughout this movie, spoiler alert, but like I completely just like forgot that Quicksilver dies. Like if you were to ask me, I would know, but I was just like watching the movie, like almost like it was my first time watching it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Aaron, whatever, like, is it Aaron Taylor Johnson? I was like, he's doing great. Like, he's doing great in this role. You know what I mean? And I was just watching the movie, and then I was like, oh, yeah, it's that scene. Yeah, man.
And to me, because I wrote this down, his death doesn't make me mad, but it does make me a little sad, because he was such a good character in that movie. And to me,
Absolutely,
there was
yeah.
no indication early in the movie that one of them was going to die,
Yeah, and I think
Especially,
that's
especially if you've seen or if you know anything about the comics about how important of a character Quicksilver is, or if you've seen the previous X-Men movies that already
yeah.
come out at that point. Like, he's such an important character.
Which I don't know. I don't know if it was a legal thing because I don't think in this movie they call him Quicksilver and they only call Wanda Witch once
Yeah, no, what I
or
did
like a few
actually,
times
now that you bring it up, I think that's a good point because I think that was a legal thing because they did not
because they
call
couldn't
Scarlet
bring up
Witch.
X-Men anything.
No, they didn't call her a Scarlet Witch until they bought 21st Century Fox. So that's a good point. I didn't even think
Yeah.
about that.
The only time I actually read Scarlet Witch was under the extras, which would have came out with the DVD,
Uh-huh.
or unless it was later and it was just added. But it was like a little Scarlet Witch behind the scenes or something. I don't know, but it was under extras. That's the only time I actually like read it like that.
Mhm. And
But yeah, no, they were amazing movie.
yeah, and to think too about like what this movie represents and what it sets up. I mean, we get introduced to Wakanda even very slightly, right?
Yeah.
It sets up that. It sets up, the two of them are really just the one of them now, one of the twins.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I thought they were like such a necessary part of the story. Like obviously they are because they're influenced with Ultron, but their involvement with like Sokovia and stuff. Like you really need like a new character to be like helping the cause, and it was cool to see that with someone who's not like a civilian level.
Uh-huh.
Because like normally that would be like who it is. You know what I mean? Like the civilian like stepping up and helping.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's people who are much stronger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like that line that like Cap says early in the movie is like because Maria Hill's like, oh, we're not at war, Captain. He's like, they are. You know what I mean? Like this is how they've been living. So when they start seeing like the actual damage that they're causing, it's cool to see that change, and it's really necessary.
Well, yeah, and then Cap has that, kind of snarky line. He's like, what kind of person would let a German scientist test on him for, war purposes?
For their own country.
Yeah.
No, dude, Cap has, I mean, everyone in this movie has like amazing one-liners.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because this is really the peak of the Avengers.
Yeah.
This is the only movie where you have all your key players. You're even getting like little characters from their own movies, respectfully. Like you're getting a little bit of Falcon, you're getting a little bit of Rhodey. You know what I mean?
Selvig.
Yeah, true. Yeah, like it really it uses its time well to have like a lot of these characters.
Yeah.
And it just feels so integrated. Like
Well,
everything in
especially
this
too, like,
movie just feels perfect.
the beginning of the movie, you really get the feeling like, oh, the Avengers have been working together, for other battles that you haven't seen, right? 'Cause they're
Absolutely.
talking about how they're knocking out other Hydra bases, but this is just another one of them,
Well, it's even them just being like, oh, can you take that out? Okay, thanks. You know what I mean? Like, if they're just saying, oh, thanks to that, then, you know what I mean? They know how to work together.
Yeah.
They know how to, like, and just the slow motion shot. I mean, you're seeing in that first slow motion shot, like, how they're all maneuvering around each other.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And, like, Tony's flying through people. Like, they just know how to work as a team at this point. And, but like Tony says later, Tony's not really satisfied with what they're doing because he knows they're helping. And he's like, we can get any of these, like, gun dealers, anything. But, like, there's bigger issues that we have to be focused on.
Yeah. And
So-
and also like all the work that this movie does to set up stuff that's been done behind screen, because we don't have another Hulk movie that happened in the middle. We don't have a Hawkeye movie. We don't have a Black Widow movie. So those three characters, right? There was a lot of work that they had to be done in the script writing to, build up their story.
Absolutely.
I would argue more than anything that this is a Clint Barton movie.
No, holy. And it's funny because he's taken out of, like, most of the fights in the beginning. Which makes sense. But they just work with his character so well. He's like, "Oh, I don't have a girlfriend," and he's got like a wife and kids at home. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so funny. And I also love the fact that like Natasha knows all that. You know what I mean? Like Natasha knows all about his family and stuff, and is like saying hi to the kids and stuff. And that just shows like how their relationship is.
Mhm.
And that's the other thing that this movie shows really, really well is as they've grown as a team, you get how each of them interacts with each other in a different way.
Yeah.
Like Cap thinks that Thor would be honest with him, tell him anything. When he says that when he's like chopping the wood and stuff. And like you can see that Tony always goes to like Banner for all his like really intriguing thoughts.
Well, and that's
that
the
he
whole
thinks-
premise of Iron Man 3, right? That is just,
Exactly.
you're not watching a movie. You're just watching them Tony talk about what happened to
Yeah.
Bruce, right?
Yeah. Which that's been set up since the first Avengers movie. Like right when they're in that first room talking and they're like sharing snacks together, working on science projects.
Tony finally has somebody that understands, the gift of knowledge, or
Exactly. And he needs Banner. Like that's why when he's asking about like vision and stuff, he's like, "No, I need you to do it." Yeah, man. Because Tony's smart, and he's really mechanically smart. But there's just a certain degree of knowledge that Banner carries that makes him unique in certain scenarios.
Yeah. And also, like, this is the first time you see the camaraderie between the big three. Like, this is the first time you really, because, they never refer to them as the big three in the movie, but, the fans
They
do.
are. Yeah.
Like, that's when like, these three are the guys that are running the Avengers.
Back in the day, these were the only people getting trilogies.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then that totally comes back at the end of the movie when they're walking out of the Avengers facility all together.
Well, that's the scene that I think about. They're like talking about when they're going to be together, and then they're also talking about, is an elevator worthy, which I think's a great conversation to have.
And then I also got like thrown a curveball similar to how Thor ended, and it like sets up like a movie like super far in the future. Is at the end of that conversation, it's like directly alluding to where Cap's character is going to go. Like Tony literally says exactly what happens to Cap's character. You know what I mean? And Cap is kind of like not refusing to it, but he just doesn't think there's a chance of that happening. And it was just really interesting to see them. It's really cool to go back and see what did pay off.
Yeah, and just the foreshadowing too, because was it Tony that said that he's like, it's not when aliens come, or it's not if aliens come back, but it's when, right?
Yeah, because he said that when he was talking about the portal opening above, which again, how they interact with each other. Like when Tony's like, remember when I carried the nuke up? And Rhodey's like, oh no, I forgot. You know what I mean? Because like obviously Tony brings that up in every conversation.
Yeah.
Which that's again similar to how we were talking in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's funny for us because we're seeing Rhodey like being snarky. But when you look at it from a character perspective, it's like, no, if he's told this story multiple times, Tony's obviously still very, very paranoid about this stuff.
Yeah, he's not saying it in a snarky way. He's saying it just because he's being open.
Exactly.
I would argue is very rare for him, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like heartbreaking that is the thing that he is the most open about and he is the most serious about. But it's something that he can't really work on without a degree of risk. Which is like what this entire movie's about. But I don't know, Robert Downey Jr. is just amazing. Like when he starts laughing, the absolute tension when he starts laughing after Ultron, like comes alive and does all that. Like it's a complete twist.
Thor just put him in a chokehold, right?
Absolutely, yeah. No, well, because like at first I was like, why is Thor in a suit? But he explains that he was like chasing down the Ultron thing and seeing where it took the stuff. But yeah, I just totally forgot that like Robert Downey Jr. starts laughing in that scene, and you see Cap like looking at Thor and looking at Iron Man, and Cap's like trying to see what's going on. He's gonna like, are they gonna fight right now? You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Robert Downey, like I think everyone's acting in this movie is just amazing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
man.
think it all pays off super well, just character development wise. Was there a character you were disappointed in?
Honestly, the scientist lady that switched up.
Uh, Cho?
Yeah, whichever one made the Vision body,
Mm-hmm.
because she's like,
But she was kind of like a random character, and something that caught my eye because I've seen this movie multiple times.
yeah,
When when they're sitting around the table, basically like the after party after they've defeated Strucker's base,
yeah.
right? Everybody that's at the table you'd expect, but she's also there, which seemed kind of like forced.
Yeah, I think it was kind of mainly just a story thing.
Mm-hmm.
But she was also the one who said, she asked if Thor was going to be there.
Uh-huh.
So that was their explanation for her being there. Right?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't the same lady that made the Vision suit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, they
Because
just
she was
kind of
she
explained
was
it
like
away with her having a crush on Thor.
her write-in was that she was the one that was like an expert in like
Uh,
biochemistry or like skin grafts.
yeah, it was like a material layering or something. Like whatever was making the tissue or something.
Yeah. I think I would have. I don't know how you would have written it in, but like you're saying, bringing in other characters, it
Yeah.
did seem a little weird how somebody like Jane Foster, because they kind of mentioned it that Jane wasn't there, but also Pepper, didn't make an appearance. Two
But-
kind of like I think crucial characters to
Yeah.
the main characters.
At least they talked about it. You know what I mean? That's kind of, at least they had that fun conversation with Tony and Thor. But I don't know. It was cool because obviously like the Pepper relationship is kind of up in the air at this point because of that, you know what I mean? With how Tony's talking about it. And it kind of made sense. I wish they elaborated on it more. You know what I mean? Because I feel like you could have made that work like really well, where you're kind of saying Tony's been so focused on trying to prevent the end of the world, you know what I mean, that he kind of just doesn't have time for Pepper Potts and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like you could have really made that an interesting part of that. Without her being like a huge, huge character in the movie, I feel like you still could have had like a little more about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What else? I've got some other notes here.
Dude, also in that fight scene, when Ultron first goes in there, Tony, no suit at all, just jumps on an Ultron bot. Like, no suit, he just jumps on the Ultron bot. And I was like, what is Tony doing? Like, it was awesome. He takes it out by, like, hitting its neck or something.
He takes it out the only way he can, right?
Yeah, exactly.
By breaking it down within.
But, like, just the full confidence. He just totally jumps on the bot and starts taking it apart. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I love, like, is it Hawkeye that throws Cap the shield?
Yes, I thought that was super cool.
And then the way Cap throws it, the amount of momentum they make you feel when that shield got thrown and, like, it's stopping, it was insane. I love
All
Captain
right, well,
America.
I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
Nat and Bruce.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Because I've got thoughts.
I remember not liking it when it came out because obviously you had like just seen Winter Soldier and they were kind of already messing around with the Natasha Steve stuff. But like I said, because the end of the movie, I think they were already shifting where they wanted to go with Steve. Same with his visions that he's having. But I thought it worked better than I remembered. Like, a lot better. Like, her line of, like, you think you're the only monster on this team and stuff. I don't know. Like, I think it just developed a lot more naturally than I remembered. And I forgot that Cap, like, directly talks about it with Banner.
Yes, I did
And is
forget
like,
that.
which that helped build it a lot more. Where he's like,
And
I've seen.
and, there was kind of a
flirt.
funny line in there when he's like, "Oh, I've seen her flirting firsthand," and then they kind of end the conversation. Bruce is like, "Firsthand or up close," you know?
Yeah. Well, that's the other that party scene. Every little bit has like a beginning, middle, end to like the joke. You know what I mean? Like beginning of the scene, Thor's gonna be pouring drinks. And then he's like gonna explain like that this is from space, this is crazy, it's from a war. Humans shouldn't try it. And then you get the payoff at the end of the scene of like Stanley getting taken out there saying Excelsior. And like the guy's all frozen because they drank it. But yeah, no, Cap directly referring to it really helped that for me. Because then you look at Winter Soldier and you're like, oh yeah, like Cap was totally like rejecting going on dates with people. You know what I mean? Like there's no way that they would actually be together at this point.
Yeah, and he makes that self-referential comment too, like, I'm the king of waiting too long, right?
Exactly. If anything, it made me less bothered about the past and them not going forward with the Cap stuff, and it made me more thinking about the future projects.
Exactly.
Because from what I remember, they don't really get back into the Natasha Banner stuff, like, at all.
Well, I think that's why, the anger about that grows, because it never got revisited. And, not talking about spoilers, but, at the end of the movie, Hulk's in a jet and we're not sure when we're going to see him again.
Which was cool. If I had $1 for every time the movie ended in a Marvel movie with like some dude flying away in a jet and then like some girl just being like sad about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, that was awesome.
I think my issue with it, not even looking at the future stuff, but at the beginning of the movie, when I think Tony was the one that said, "Nat, it's time for Hulk's lullaby."
Yeah.
That's kind of the first time there was kind of no explanation of like how that got started.
Yeah, and
there had to have been an assumption at that's been going on for a while, right?
Yeah,
they show it how it happens, but I don't know. I get what she's saying, like, I'm a monster too, just because of what happened in the Red Room. But that wasn't. It doesn't seem like that's the same Nat from the first Avengers when her and Clint are talking about their previous lives.
Yeah, I feel like, and I also don't know what was cut. Because I know Scarlett Johansson was pregnant around this time, and that's why they're
really?
like, that's why they're having like her at the bar with the bar like right where her stomach is, so you can't see.
I did not know that.
So I don't know if they couldn't film more about this. I mean, I wouldn't think there would be more time for this stuff because it already is like a pretty packed movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is kind of tough. Like I feel like every time we get Natasha, it's like a little bit different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really feel as solid because it wasn't done back to back to back. She's kind of more of like not a side character, but like a really, really good supporting character. Which is why I think she gets in tons of different projects. She really works in like tons of different environments. But like, I think the Black Widow that we get in Avengers 1 is even completely different than Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just depends on the writer, I think. And she's always good. She's always interesting. But it's just not as tonally consistent.
Well, and without getting into spoilers too much, part 3, when we get into it, we're going to watch the Black Widow movie, which, I guess, ages in reverse, right? Because the movie is like a prequel in a sense.
Yeah.
It came out after everything. So I feel like everything from Black Widow on actually pairs really well.
Yeah. I am a pretty big fan of the Black Widow movie.
I know. I'm super excited to rewatch it.
Yeah. With like knowing all this stuff that's going on. That'll be super interesting.
What else?
I got tons of notes, dude.
What about Fury? We see him a little bit. He's technically dead.
Yeah.
My question, not about Fury specifically, but where did Fury get a helicarrier? He said, "I've got friends."
He's got friends.
But that doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah. I don't know if this is something they plan to explain later. like his eye or something. Uh, I don't know because I'm
I
trying
will
to
give him
think of
one
where else the
benefit of the
helicarrier
doubt.
would be.
I did notice that it was like the version 1
It
helicarrier.
is, yeah. That's what like you can totally see that it's like super old-fashioned compared to the ones that we see in Winter Soldier.
I just feel like after Winter Soldier, they probably would have gone on and gotten rid of all the helicarriers, you know?
But I also feel like this is something that they could have gone into later on in Secret Invasion. I feel like Secret Invasion, you could have him go to someone and be like, "Hey, remember I got that helicarrier from you? Something just to tell us."
Listen, man, we're too early to talk about Secret Invasion. It's gonna
I
make me
know, but I'm just saying that's the
upset.
only Nick Fury project that I reference to it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I thought Nick Fury was good. I thought the kind of fake out of like, oh, go work on the tractor, and then he like walks out,
Uh-huh.
and Tony's like, he's already like so done with what's going on with everybody, and he just wanted a
Uh-huh.
break to like work on the John Deere tractor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
He's good.
Ulysses Claw? The introduction of that character.
Dude.
We get, and kind of ties in the Wakanda stuff because we get a lot more knowledge about vibranium, you know,
Yeah.
and what it means to the universe. What are your thoughts on the introduction of the character and just vibranium as a whole?
The vibranium introduction was awesome. Like when it says strongest metal on Earth, and it like pans to the shield.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, Tony, I thought like your dad like used all of it. You know what I mean? Like, and then Ultron says that line. He's like, of course, like, man finds it and makes a frisbee.
Yeah.
And like doesn't push it any further. Which I thought that was funny. But yeah, no, Ulysses Claw is super fascinating. I thought the way they tied him into Tony was super good. Because the team's already questioning Tony, and he's like, oh yeah, I know who that is. He's a black arms dealer. You know what I mean? And
He had to
Tony's
make
like,
it clear that he didn't help him.
right, he just met him at a convention.
That's totally what he meant, right? They just met at a convention. They didn't help each other.
Right. But no, he totally seems like someone that Obadiah Stane or something would have Tony meet or something. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's amazing. And it was a really cool kind of throw off character because you're like, how does this character fit in? They're not in the beginning of the movie. They're not in the end of the movie.
Uh-huh.
But he can't be scared by Scarlet Witch. You know what I mean? He's not scared of losing anything. He's scared of Cuttlefish.
Yes,
He did clarify that. He watched a documentary. He's very
super
scared
scary
about that.
documentary.
And how they hypnotize their prey and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It was just really cool to kind of get a character and be like, oh, he can't be scared by Scarlet Witch.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of his thing.
One thing that I feel like we haven't talked about in a few episodes, but there's no better place to talk about it than an Avengers movie. Some of the suits.
Oh yeah.
Which one, you know, I feel like now we've seen a couple variations of Thor's suit. Now he's back to truly being sleeveless the whole time.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
I thought it made more sense.
Uh-huh.
Like it just makes him look more standout compared to the other Avengers who are in full suits.
Uh-huh.
And it kind of does give off more of this like he's like this superhuman god. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I think visually you get that a lot better. I do like the sleeves on the suit too. But I think it takes a long time until Thor gets a bad suit in the MCU, I think.
Yeah,
I like them all.
To me, like when you look at Thor's suit as like a kind of like you really look when you look at like any military around the world now, like you have your presentation suit where you're going out in public, which is to me what Thor is with the long sleeves, and then you have like your actual going out to war, takes off the sleeves, not really worried about how it looks, but now going more for functionality.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's also why the helmet not sticking around makes more sense.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's never at a point where he's actually going to get, like, shot in the head and be at, like, risk of that. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It just doesn't make sense to carry all that.
Yeah, and it to me that like Cap taking off his helmet is very, very symbolic.
They
Right?
should have kept that deleted scene.
I
Have you seen
know.
that deleted scene?
I have.
That's, again, similar
And
to
to
Avengers.
me that
They're
like,
cutting out the Cap stuff.
I think according to Kevin Feige, any deleted scene is not canon, but to me that is the most canon you can get.
There's no reason. There's absolutely no reason for it to not be canon. And I think it directly ties into his line about them being at war still.
Yeah. And
how Cap
maybe
cares
for the
about
listener out there, can you explain the deleted scene?
So the deleted scene, I believe it's when they first get at Sokovia towards the end of the movie.
Uh-huh.
And Cap's kind of solo getting... I don't remember if back then they had the shot of him looking at Peggy in the thing.
Uh-huh.
In like the same little...
either.
I don't remember if that was in that scene or if I'm just already cutting ahead. But he like is walking out of the Quinjet and he's got his... I think he's like about to put his helmet on.
Uh-huh.
And then he sees like some art on the wall of like, I don't remember what it was, but it was like Captain America, or it was like, he calls him like a fascist or something.
Yeah.
And it's got him like crossed out or something.
That was,
what was it?
That's kind of like a common part of Sokovia. Like, not just that, but in one of the shots, did you see that Iron Man had a bunch of like dollar signs around his head?
Yeah.
So that I feel like Sokovia in itself just, and I probably majority of the lower GDP countries feel this way about the Avengers, that they're, very greed centric and they're not really doing it for avenging, right? They're doing it for something else.
Yeah, and it's a great way to kind of make the story flaws of like, oh, how come New York's always the one getting attacked? You know what I mean? How come like it's always like these places? And it's like, okay, but let's take this from a story perspective. How do those other countries feel? You know what I mean, when they're still dealing with day-to-day issues and stuff like that, and then they have to wait until something like truly terrifying happens to get the Avengers to show up.
Well, and specifically for the Iron Man like propaganda that they have in Sokovia, it's perfectly written, because then Wanda and Pietro are talking about their childhood and the reason, they volunteered for the study, because when their house got bombed, there was Stark Industries bombing them. It wasn't Tony directly, right? But he was an arms dealer at the time. Yeah. And the Stark missile never went off. Or one of them didn't go off.
Yeah, and Ultron even says that's like probably why Wanda made it through the training. Wanda and Quicksilver. Is he's like, oh yeah, like I see why you were the only two to survive or something.
Which, I mean, I feel like, I didn't watch this when it came out, but that kind of felt like a superficial reason why they made it out. I think later we find out why they made it through, but we can't talk about that today.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was a super cool scene, and I think the perception, like, if you had to break it down into arcs, like you're saying, the Battle of New York is like what everything before this is about. And going forward, Sokovia becomes a huge deal. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just a one and done deal. We start getting into the Accords and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all this other stuff. So it's really just going off whatever their last battle was and how that influenced like tons of stuff going on around them. So it's just a huge shift when you actually get to see the Battle of Sokovia and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted, so, why I wasn't able to make it today, but he wrote me some pretty comprehensive notes that he wanted me to share. Because even though he didn't make it today, he still is very much in the Sacred Rewatch, and he likes thinking about these movies pretty philosophically. I'll read what he said. It's a little long, and this may cover some stuff we've already talked about. But he says, I think that the movie does a good job at showing why Clint is an Avenger. He's almost the emotional anchor in a way. He's killed people, but he knows it's for the greater good, and he accepts that. He shows that he can have a life and be happy and still be an Avenger, as well as the fact that he's just a guy with a bow, which serves as almost an inspiration for the others. We see the first hint at that when his wife is talking to him in the room at the farmhouse, and he says their conversation goes something along the lines of, Laura says, I look out there and I see gods. Clint says, and you think, why do they need me? Laura says, it makes me think they need you even more, and that scares me. Also, we see this again in the conversation Clint has with Wanda during Sokovia battle, which I loved, by the way. I loved his little pep talk to Wanda, saying like, hey, if you're going to walk out there, you got to do it for the greater good. You can't just do it for yourself anymore. And I just love that scene because you really start to see the switch flip for Wanda and realize you can't be doing it out of anger anymore. You have to be doing it for something else.
Yeah. And again, that's another one where it's like comedy wrapped with like a deeper meaning. You know what I mean? Like obviously him saying like, there's robots flying around, we're on a floating city, and I'm with a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense. It's funny, but again, it really grounds how these characters feel. You know what I mean? And it makes you feel like the situation's less silly because the characters are aware of it. It doesn't, which again, sometimes it gets to a problem where the characters are just like joking about something very serious, takes you out of the movie because you're not buying the situation. But in this, there's a level of seriousness to what Barton's saying. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And also, this is kind of a super deep cut, but when Clint is on the phone before you even realize he has a wife and kids, he's on the phone and he's talking to, he says his girlfriend at the time, but he's talking to her in a way that she's the superior. Like she's an actual agent, which we do, learn more about later. But I thought that was kind of interesting looking back at it. Right?
The progression is super funny because at first he's like injured in that room and he's like, I got no girlfriends. You know what I mean? And then the next scene, who are you talking to? Oh, my girlfriend. And then you finally get to him and it's like, he's got a full house, you know what I mean, with kids. Kid on the way. You know what I mean? But, I don't know. It was super funny, the progression of that.
I'm going to read a couple more of his notes, and if something comes up that you want to talk about, please feel free. He says, Nat's relationship with Barton's family does a good job at humanizing her, and after showing the backstory of the Red Room and how they tried to strip her of her humanity, something we kind of dig into more, but I think that, like you're saying, it does do a good job of building up Natasha, which I feel like that scene specifically doesn't make Natasha a different character like we were talking about. This just
like
kind of
in this movie. I think it does.
You think so?
I think so because to visually see what she was explaining to Loki. You know what I mean? Like it's a completely different tone, and it adds like before you knew she was like she had some regrets about the killings and stuff, but this movie really shows that like levels of her humanity were like stripped away from her. You know what I mean? And it's even like down to again, jokes wrapped with serious stuff is like her them saying that they changed the name of the kid from Natasha to Nathaniel. You know what I mean? And her talking to the kid like through her stomach or whatever, you know what I mean?
Traitor.
Which is funny. It's funny. But again, you're like realizing that like, oh, she can't have kids. You know what I mean? Like she's talking about that with Hulk and stuff, with Banner. And again, I just think this movie just perfectly, I think you could watch this movie as a Black Widow movie and notice all her key points, and it would seem like a completely full arc story for that character.
Absolutely.
You could watch this as a Captain America movie, and it's a perfect Captain America movie. Like, I think every character is justified in how they're acting and thinking, if you're looking at it from their perspective.
And I think, as little credit I think modern MCU fans want to give Joss Whedon, and I don't have a full backstory, but I think it turned out that Joss Whedon was kind of a piece of shit. He does a very good job of giving every one of the Avengers and characters in general, their moment in the sun.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that's again, if you haven't watched this movie in a long time, I would say definitely rewatch it.
Absolutely.
Because there's tons of little moments. Like the budget in this is insane. Like there's tons of quick CGI shots or just funny moments that you just don't remember. And you can really see the scale of it go up insane from Avengers.
Yeah.
But what else was Wyatt saying?
He said, the movie does a good job at showing the pain Bruce Banner feels, both emotionally dealing with Hulk. He likes how at the beginning, the transformation from Hulk back to Banner was a very like physically painful experience for Bruce. And multiple times when Bruce is seen in the jet after turning back from Hulk, he always has a trauma blanket on him and is in the fetal position.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. I did realize that, especially that beginning transformation scene in the movie, it does not look like a pleasant experience to turn from the Hulk.
Yeah, and it's not something we really get in the first Avengers movie much, I think, if we do get it at all. We get a lot of him turning into the Hulk and how it's like, him like becoming like super strong and angry. But in this movie, you're getting a lot more shots of like Hulk becoming Banner. Like when he's like looking around at all the people running away from him, he's like slowly turning back into Banner. Like, I don't know, it just brings such a level of humanity to him. And like, especially him on the Quinjet. When he's like sitting there, like just like wrapped in the blanket, like just like he doesn't even know what he did. Like, yeah, and there's just an insane level to that.
And I think too that was a really good decision because at the first Avengers movie, he can't just turn from Hulk to Bruce Banner and vice versa. It can't just happen on a whim. Yeah. And then in this movie, time has passed, so he's been able to conquer that, and I think that's kind of why the whole lullaby thing started. I think that was a good way of showing it.
And I think the lullaby, I'll have to keep my eye out when we do watch Black Widow, but I know there is a song on the Black Widow soundtrack that plays during the opening that's called Natasha's Lullaby.
Yes.
So I think that, again, that's something of why that character is helping him, is because she would have code words or methods that she learned from her training and stuff that maybe she learned herself that helps her with those scenarios and stuff. So I thought that the whole lullaby thing was pretty fitting for those two characters.
No, I think that was a good point that Wyatt brought up. And then he's got two more. He said, Age of Ultron brings a much darker tone for the Avengers, as it doesn't necessarily glorify the Avengers. You see that all through the world, the Avengers have negative opinions on them, like we talked about, as well as seeing the Avengers having to deal with repercussions of their actions, which perfectly sets up Civil War. That was kind of, something we already talked about, but I'm glad that he was able to catch on to that too, because it really shows that message was put across.
Yeah.
And then lastly, he says, also when Thor has his vision of all the stones, they make out the image of the gauntlet, and I never noticed.
Yeah. I also was thrown off by that in the vision.
He's seeing Vision. Oh, that's what this picture is? Oh.
Well, it shows that, and it shows like a quick shot of like Vision in his eyes. Because later in the movie, Thor shows up and he does the whole lightning thing and like activates Vision. And I'm like, why would he do that? Like he just charges in the room and like powers him on. But then I was like, oh yeah, that's why because I was confused when they showed him in the Vision. I was like, okay, that makes sense. He kind of sees him as part of that path.
I think one thing I also want to talk about, not the Vision, but visions that all the Avengers have and Wanda's capabilities. What were your thoughts about all those mind games that she was playing and some of those scenes we got?
They were so cool. I thought it was more one by one from my memory. But the shot of Thor walking, and he's like humans got to watch out. Like, I don't think it'll break me. And like as he's like walking, he like walks into it, like all in one shot. He's just walking through the ship that he's on, and then boom, he's like in the Vision. But the editing was frantic, and it was like a lot of like tilted angles, which is cool, like kind of like a callback to Thor and like you're being thrown off your feet with the Dutch angles. Yeah, I remember them being like kind of slow and kind of like dreamlike. But actually watching them, they're a lot quicker, which I think works a lot more effectively because it kind of just doesn't give you enough time to really grasp what's going on. until later. But
And
even better,
Mhm.
I'll let you go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, even better than the visions is the scenes at Clint's house,
Mhm.
because it's what's triggering them from those.
Yeah.
So, like, again, with the jokes, Thor steps on a Lego house, like, on a Lego thing, and you don't really realize what it is, but it's like a house. And then right after that, Thor's like, I gotta go. Because he literally destroyed his house. Like, it's like the most, like, perfect embodiment of, like, him joking by stepping on the Legos. But it's him destroying his foundational home, which is Asgard. So then right after, he's like, boom, I gotta go. And then right when Cap talks with him about that, Cap turns around and he sees the door frame, and he's hearing Clint's family inside. And he gets audio, I think we hear, of Peggy talking or something. You know what I mean? So all those little triggers after, like I said, Natasha talking about Clint's new kid and stuff. Like, every character kind of has their own trigger from these after.
Yeah, and I think it's mostly because they've been out in the battles, they've been partying, they haven't actually had a moment to sit down and think about where they are in their lives, and
Yeah.
they finally get to a quiet place, and they're not worried about anybody finding them because it is a secret place.
Yeah, and it's kind of getting to a point where, like, the characters are reminded, like, they know what they're fighting for, obviously. But, like, Tony is kind of on a whole nother level because he's thinking about world domination. He doesn't have, like, Pepper really with him right now. Cap's kind of left that all behind. And Thor, obviously, has got other stuff going on. So I think Clint's family is just, like, the perfect reminder of, like, they took a hit, but they have to be fighting again because of these people. You know what I mean? It's just a perfect story treatment there.
One of the last things I want to ask you about before we kind of talk about where we are in the MCU at this point, right? Because we just got to the end of part 2. But I think my question is, and this is something I was thinking about right before we got on, is how do we truly know that Ultron's dead?
We don't. We get an allude to him later. And then other than that, it's kind of nothing.
Because
But
they
I
talk
think
about how
definitely we'll see him.
he kind of escapes to the internet the first time, and then Vision kills him at the end, his last physical form, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's gone.
Well, I don't remember if that was going to be in the plot of Armor Wars or the Vision thing, Vision Quest.
Yeah.
I would have to assume that it would be. A lot of people are Ultron fans, and he serves really interesting character points. So I have to think that they were going to bring him back eventually.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it would take away from the story at all.
No, absolutely
It's
not.
still a reoccurring theme and topic that they could always dive into.
Especially, if they were to say, over time, Ultron, he's built up more knowledge and more time has passed and he's gotten even stronger while he's been in the depths,
Well, because the Stark Industries stuff still hasn't laid off in the MCU. So I think it's always up for discussion. I guess they could pair it potentially in the future with the Ironheart character, I suppose.
We'll find out tomorrow.
Right? We'll see. I don't know. I don't think they would throw it in this late, but they could allude to it, maybe. Because, again, her suit has, like, a AI in it. You know what I mean? And that's fully, it can run on its own. The suit can run without her in it. So there's definitely an open floor to if he were to come back.
Yeah. Last shout out I want to give, I believe his name is James Spader, the voice of Ultron.
Amazing.
Fantastic job.
And he didn't just voice, he also did motion capture.
Like the motion cap.
At least for the bar scene. I'd have to think most of it because there's just such an interesting level of personality to this robot. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a good performance that it took me like a while into the movie to even think about, like, oh yeah, he's got like a mouth that's like moving like it's a human's, but he's a robot.
Yeah.
But like you're so focused on the performance. And that also goes with the sound design. Him talking while you're hearing like the mechanical gears of his suit. But like, I don't know, it's that first scene when he's like totally like creeping around, like falling over, and he's got all the wires hanging off of him.
Such a good shot.
And it's like, I remember like vividly when I was a kid, this trailer creeped me out.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because not only are you having the Pinocchio music alluded to, so I'm remembering a giant whale jumping at me at Disneyland, scaring me in the dark, with the whole like Geppetto in the dark and stuff, with the like Pinocchio.
Yeah.
But like, I just remember this trailer was like, I don't know, it's just like scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a full 180. You know what I mean? You would kind of expect the next movie to be like, we got our team, you know what I mean? Now we can work efficiently. We can be the good guys like the first movie. But there's really no shots in this like the first movie of like a civilian truly being like all for the Avengers. Like even that mom at the end when her son gets brought to her, like he's got blood coming off of him and she's like holding him. I can't think of a scene in this movie where someone's like, yeah, Captain America, yeah, Iron Man, you know what I mean? Like it's a complete tone like switch off that first movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, do you have any more thoughts on this movie before we kind of talk about where we're at right now?
I can speed run through some of my notes.
Go for it.
So, love the line when Tony shows up and sees him talking, and he says, "You're gonna break your old man's heart."
Mm-hmm.
And then Ultron says the one-liner, and Tony's like, "I was 1 second away from it," because like Ultron's personality is just evil Tony. Like that's the greatest part of it is like he's just built around him. The Hulkbuster is making Star Wars sounds. It's making some Luke's X-wing, Luke's speeder sounds from Star Wars. Every time it kind of boosted up, it had like that whirring engine, which is cool. There's a few times in these movies where you're noticing Star Wars sound effects. Let's see. I loved the line when Tony's going into the computer and he goes, "I'm decrypting nuclear codes and you don't want me to," but he like sings it in like a way when he's like hacking the computer. That line was super funny. I did ask, what explosion did the Mind Stone show? Because it always has some truth to it. And I would have to assume that would be the explosion if Sokovia would have fallen.
I would have to imagine so.
Because that's like the explosion that Wanda sees. Because at first my brain was like jumping ahead. And I was like, well, could that have been what the snap looked like from space? And then I was like, no, it's probably just Sokovia.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know, I was just like trying to think about it. Because I think every vision is pretty legitimate. I don't think there's one that's just like doesn't tie into anything and is just to scare the person. Or we get the stuff like the Hulk stuff where you don't see what happens to him.
Yeah.
Cap's speech at the end was awesome. Cap's like hype speech. That was like, I felt like I was in the theater again. Like I was like, this is the team. We're going in. We're doing this. And it was like a really big pick me up after that somber tone. To be like, okay, now we're the Avengers again. We're going back in at this. Cap yells "go" like when he's like fighting a robot. He like yells to the civilians "go" because like the robots all show up like at a surprise, and it sounded exactly like when he like jumps on the grenade in First Avenger. He's like "go go go," you know what I mean? And I was like, it literally might be the same audio clip. Like it sounded so similar that my First Avenger brain was like, boom. Made the connection.
Yeah.
Let's see. I totally forgot that Rhodey comes back in this movie.
I know. I kind of forgot that too.
And the Falcon tie-in, they say he's on a missing persons case, which is that he's looking for Bucky Barnes. You know what I mean? He says that at the party, and I was like, "Oh, that's an awesome tie-in."
I was like, that has to mean something. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I had to like remind myself where we're at in the rewatch. And I was like, oh yeah, like that's a cool way to kind of have him. Because obviously at this point you have so many characters.
We get a tie into this, the end credit scene in a future movie. I'm not going to say what, but we find out before Civil War. Ant-Man.
Okay. I was double checking that we were talking about the same thing. Yeah, I put the Vision music is awesome. We get more Vision music at the end when he's fighting with Rhodey. We get I think it's like a choir version of his music, which is cool. I thought it was crazy that Ultron's final plan was just getting in a plane and like gunning everyone down.
Yeah.
Like he's literally just making like runs, just shooting at people with the cannons on the Quinjet. And I forgot that's what he does.
I feel like Ultron had a great plan up until the end, especially the scene right before, they have the Avengers assemble scene, even though they don't say it. He's like, this is what I wanted. All of you versus all of me. And it kind of seemed like a cringy line, but at the same time, it just seemed not necessarily cringy, just because I don't think he thought about what would happen if, if the Avengers matched his level,
Well, I think it's like he's talking about, like he kind of sees himself as like the one to carry this out.
Yeah.
Like obviously there's parallels to like God. He's like referencing the Bible like all throughout the movie. But he's built off Tony's like how he thinks.
Yeah.
And an evil version of Tony's competitiveness is thinking like I'm the one that has to do this. Other people can't. In the way that gets shown through Ultron is like him being like, I can fight you all. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was thinking like the kid that gets saved by Quicksilver, like that shot of him looking over at his dead body was not necessary. I did not need to know how much this kid was traumatized. You know what I mean? Like there's just a shot of him like opening his eyes and he just sees like dead Quicksilver. And it's like, oh my gosh. And I was like, that kid's going to come back in the MCU in like 20 years. And he's going to be like the Sokovia soldier or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Quicksilver's death was different than I remembered. For some reason, I thought he just went like in front of Clint and like took the bullets. And I forgot that Ultron shot him.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, I thought it was the military or something.
Stray bullets.
That's what I thought. I thought it was just like people panicking and shooting. I forgot that he like moves a vehicle in front of him and saves him. And then I just had the Cap ending. The ending of the movie is just insane. And Iron Man's thinking about a family and stuff when he drives away. He's like, maybe I'll settle down with Pepper. So again, just a great ending to the movie right there. And they kind of set up like this whole new Avengers theme, which kind of pushes like Falcon into the main light and stuff. Scarlet Witch already gets her outfit. Yeah, I think she's wearing.
I think she
Infinity War.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like just the casting is insane. Like when you come to this end credit scene, obviously you still have Josh Brolin as Thanos. But like when you're looking at like Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch in this movie with the accent. Never in a million years would I have guessed that we would have gotten WandaVision with that performance and that completely different take on the character.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane when you actually look at, like, the casting.
Absolutely.
Never would have guessed that in a million years.
Well, I kind of, like, even though it's the same character, it just speaks to her range because she does play this version of Wanda so well, this Eastern European
version
of her. And then, but, like, it kind of plays it well into itself that the longer that she's with the Avengers and the longer that she's in the United States, like she just does become more Americanized.
Yeah, and obviously WandaVision has its own explanation with that, with the TV show kind of style.
All right, well, how you feeling now? We've finished 2 parts. We've just finished the second Avengers movie. We've got 2 more Infinity Stones to find out. Thor seems very worried that that Infinity Stones are popping up because he clearly says, there's a reason for this or somebody pulling the strings.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like the last thing you would expect is for Thor to be the one to call that out. Yeah, but he gets Selvig and they kind of start putting it together. So that was a really big twist.
Thor is a smart guy. He's a smart cookie.
He is, no, definitely. But like, it's just not normally where you would place him in the story. You know what I mean? But it's cool.
All right, well,
yeah, I'm super hyped.
overall, fantastic movie. I really do enjoy this movie. You could tell me that I had to watch it again, and I'd be like, all right, no problem.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't rewatched it much. I think it's just like, again, I only rewatch a few movies in the MCU, but I think going back to this one in the future, I'll definitely be quicker to do it than I was before.
Yeah. Well, would you like to know what we've got on the slate next?
I absolutely would.
So, up next, hold on. Oh, wait. Oh, I can't share my screen. I'll show it on the screen right now. But,
Okay.
So this is going to be one of the shorter parts we have.
Okay.
We're gonna keep going with the Defenders series. Obviously, it hasn't tied in with any of the Avengers movies, and it won't. But it is important to the MCU. So this next week's assignment is going to be Daredevil Season 2, which I am super excited for. We get Luke Cage TV show Season 1 right after watching Jessica Jones. Pretty excited for that.
Yeah.
Then we got Ant-Man, new character introduction. It plays a crucial part going forward. Then kind of an oddball, Iron Fist Season 1. We don't know anything about him.
Right.
And then I would say that this has to be the end of a part, but it just doesn't make sense to have a part with only one movie beforehand. But Captain America: Civil War, probably the most important thing leading up to Infinity War. Right. Then we got Team Thor Part 1 and Part 2, and then Black Widow. And then I decided that we were going to end Part 3 just to kind of talk about all the Netflix shows that we've been talking about, because we do spend so much time watching them. We're going to end it with The Defenders, which I'm super excited for, because I don't think I've ever gotten through the whole season, actually.
Yeah.
But,
is it just one season, Defenders?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, that's going to be Part 3. Kind of an interesting part because we only have 3 movies, actually.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very much Netflix show heavy, and that's going to be Part 3 and Part 4. Part 4 is very Netflix show heavy. So just buckle up if you're listening and you're watching. If you don't want to watch them all, just come watch the podcast. We're doing all the heavy lifting for you. So
right.
So yeah, that's Daredevil Season 2. You excited to watch that next week?
I am super excited to see where that goes.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Sacred Rewatch. Brody, thanks for getting on. Another solo pod just between the two of us.
Right.
We had some great conversation here. Hope you enjoyed diving back into the timeline with us. New recap episodes are coming out every week leading up to Avengers Doomsday, and we always have the Illuminati takeover with current MCU stuff that's coming out, like Ironheart, which we're going to be, or we already have gone over, I guess, at this point when this comes out. Fantastic Four is coming closer. We're less than a month away now.
Right.
I can't even tell you how excited I am for that. But wherever you are in the multiverse, thanks for making the Sacred Rewatch part of your journey. See you guys.